Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. This meeting will come to order. Pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Call the roll.
Benjamin.
Here.
Baylor.
Here.
Holdman.
Here.
Kasdorf.
Here.
Meyer.
Here.
Sardina.
Here.
Tarks.
Here.
Is there anyone desiring to be heard? None. Consent agenda.
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda with one slight change. I do not think Chief was here at the last meeting. Is that correct?
He was not. Thank you.
I'll second that.
Motion has been made and seconded. Any discussion on the motion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All in opposition, say nay. Motion passes. Communications, anything other than department reports?
No.
Thank you. Committee reports, building board?
Building board met this evening at 5:40 and approved an occupancy permit for Rustic Made Holdings LLC at 12585 West Custer. A fence permit for Blaine Rakowski, agent for Fabic Cat Rentals, 5445 North 131st, and a sign permit for Bauer Sign and Lighting, the agent for Flexo Graphics, 12820 West Glendale. End of report.
Thank you. Library board?
Library board met November 12th at 6 p.m. For the first time since October 2000, we had 200 people come through the door 200 more people come through the door. So it was a total of 2,000 people for October, which is pretty good. Milwaukee Journal decided to triple their rates for their paper for the library. So the library is going to go down to about 2 papers a week, Wednesday and Sunday. Saturday, a new club started. It's a knitting club. They called it Yarnivores rather. I'm sorry. On a good note, we had a new member join on Tuesday, Ashley Jameson. We also kicked around some ideas for the tiny art show that comes up in March. Library added 2 holidays for next year, Juneteenth Day and Indigenous Day. And the next meeting will be December 10th virtually. End of report.
Thank you. Finance?
Finance committee met a few minutes ago. We approved October invoices and revenues for $747,557.15. We'll move that on to the full board for approval. End of report.
Thank you. Community Foundation, we had talked about general maintenance of the Clark House, some fundraising ideas, and starting up tours for spring of 25. End of report. Community events.
Community Events Committee met on October 24th. We talked about and finalized our dates for bingo for the upcoming year. We talked about and finalized our plans for Breakfast with Santa in December. Reviewed some financials from the past, looking ahead to the future, did some planning. And our next meeting is this Thursday at 5:30. End of report.
Thank you. Report of the administrator.
Just a couple things for you. Aaron and I have begun work on our pre-audit. The auditors will be in here in December to do the preliminary overview of the materials that they will be looking at come this April. We are also starting to prepare for 2025's road work. They have been doing pavement borings and other types of surveys on the road work. We are reading for water bills. This week, we are out doing the abnormal reads right now. So those bills should be expected to go out in the first week of December. Tax bills are also getting prepared after the budget passes tonight. I will be able to provide the last little bit of information to the county. Those will be calculated and ran. Right now, we're in the number 2 spot for getting those printed and sent out. So everything has been approved so far. Just looking out for that little bit of information. And also, we are doing very, very well with our police position. We are still actively looking for applicants on that, and we've gotten a lot of interest on it so far. So it's been very, very positive on that note. End of report.
Thank you. At this time, I will open a public hearing. for ordinance 24-11, an ordinance to amend section 54-358 of the Butler Municipal Code regarding industrial condition uses. Is there anyone that here tonight wants to speak onto that? No one. I will close that at 6:05 PM. And public hearing, I will open for the 2025 budget adoption. If there's anyone that would like to speak about that. No one. I'll close that. Open and closed at 6:05. New business. Discussion and possible action on ordinance 24-11, an ordinance to amend section 54-358 of the Butler Municipal Code regarding industrial condition uses.
Yes, so the Plan Commission reviewed this last week. We had a discussion about with Ms. Vargas, who is to my right here. She is in the process of closing on a property here in the village, and she's looking to basically get approval in the future for a kind of like a way station for pets that are coming to and from Japan that are mainly military families' pets, dignitaries, other types of personnel that go back and forth between here and Japan. So with that, she was not able to officially apply for the conditional use permit because of the restrictions on the square footage of the lot. We could not find any justification as to why the square footage of the lot was what it was, which is currently at 9,600 square feet. We originally were proposing to the Plan Commission that we shrink it down to 7,000. The Plan Commission then gave a recommendation to the village board to change the wording that I had originally put in the new ordinance to just match what the state statute says, which is ACTP chapter 16.22, if I remember properly. So basically that's just saying it's instead of having a square footage with the lot, we're talking about the primary enclosure. And that is dealing with the area where they basically have their most activity. They have to get certain amounts of activity every day. If you have questions for Sarah on kind of some of that, she's probably a little bit better versed on that than I am. But basically tying the conditional use to saying that you are going to meet the state requirements for the regulation. And you're also then going to, I added other information in there saying that they're also going to be following every other section of that chapter and provide us in writing that they're going to be doing so. There was a question raised to me about the animal hospital section. I left that at 7,000 instead of having it match what the animal motel and animal kennel or pet care center is with the language. But with that, I could not find a state statute that I could mirror to say what the square footage of that should be or what the primary enclosure or whatnot. So I left that at 7,000 square feet. What a proposal that was suggested to me to remedy that, to get rid of the square footage, is just saying that, kind of just getting rid of the square footage requirement altogether and just saying that, you have to just basically meet the 50-foot requirement for the residential zoning district, or to be 50 feet from a residential zoning district. So if you guys would like to change the ordinance wording, you guys can do that through motion. But that is all that I have on that right now.
One of the things in the Plan Commission was that square footage, and exactly as you spoke to, is what we couldn't find any history as to why it was 9,600. We don't know why that's in there. And then, as Ben mentioned, we can't find any language to say why it should be 7,000. So that's why that discussion came up. If we were to pass it, we could take that out completely because it is an M1 industrial district.
And all this is just so that this is easier than just getting an exemption.
Well, with the conditional use permit, you would have to, the conditional use permit says 9,600. So she would have to go for a variance from the conditional use, and the variances are a very high bar to meet because, as you may know, that they need to basically say that the use of that property is what's the language?
unsuitable or whatever, like you have to prove the need and yeah.
It's very, you basically have to
makes
overcome a very
sense.
high bar
Yeah.
to be exempt from the ordinance, which I would argue saying that you can't have one particular type of business in there is not reaching that bar.
And just so we're clear that the business that is looking to move in is not like a doggy daycare. It's not a high volume of dogs. It's just a few dogs kind of in transition as they're coming and going to like out of the country. So I don't want this to be confused with a couple years ago, we had that proposal for a doggy daycare on 124th with, I think it was 50 dogs. This is just a handful of dogs.
And any business that's going to be coming in, again, what I mentioned to the plan commission, I want to mention here is that this was being brought at the request of Ms. Vargas. This then will, when the ordinance is changed, it'll be applied to all of the M1. So then anybody could then come through and apply for the conditional use. Again, the conditional use still has to be approved. You can put conditions on it, but they would be able to, basically it's removing the barrier so they can at least apply to the conditional use. So kind of like what we had a couple months ago with an at-home business, you can still deny it if it doesn't meet the standards. And you can also put limits on it. So if a doggy daycare were to come and say, I want to have 50 dogs, we can say that absolutely not. That is not acceptable. And we can cap it at however much we want.
And
And she still has to go through the approval
Right.
process too.
and correct. And the ordinance that we're proposing tonight ties it back to the state language that we had not had in there before.
Correct.
So she's, that type of business is bound by the state, if I understand that correctly. So I would ask that if someone wanted to make a motion on that, that we eliminate the square footage unless there wanted to be a discussion on that.
I'll make a motion to approve ordinance
2411.
2411. Well, I'm seeing the other numbers there, the amendment, so I'll just say approve ordinance 2411.
I'll second that.
And to clarify, without the square footage requirement? Could you clarify your motion?
Well, that's what the amendment means, right? To amend section 54, 358. And the red lettering that was in the packet, that's what that,
Well, the red lettering had in there 7,000 square feet.
I believe he's talking about sub 1.
that's where I'm at.
This
Eliminate that. Okay. With eliminating this 7,000 square foot requirement.
Brad, is that?
Yep.
Okay.
Okay, thank you for that clarification. A motion has been made and seconded. Any discussion on the motion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All in opposition, say nay. Motion passes. Discussion and possible action on resolution 24-18, a resolution to adopt updated schedule of deposits for municipal ordinance violations.
Yes, so this resolution comes before you because we are seeking to update the schedule of deposits for municipal ordinance violations where recently I have, over the summer, I did a lot of property maintenance enforcement with grass, weeds, and other types of different violations. And what I was hoping to get clarified is when when it came to the point of citations, the municipal code currently states that a first offense is between 25 and 500 and a second offense is between 50 and 1,000. For the citations that we write most often, I want to have a little bit more of clarity on what the fines are, because I want to make sure that we're also being uniform, where if we have somebody with a property maintenance issue in June, they go to court and they get, let's just say, a $150 forfeiture. And then a couple months later, the same violation comes through for a different property. I don't want to have it where the attorney or the judge can't remember back a couple months, and then they give them a different penalty for the same violation. And then you kind of have this inequity here where one person is paying for more of a citation, versus somebody else with the same violation. And then also this resolution also clarifies the existing One, in that there was a couple duplicate citations that were on the schedule that the police department found, and we're just looking to kind of clean it all up and clarify, and also make sure that that the amounts that are getting forfeitured are in compliance with what the ordinances currently state.
Is there a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve resolution 2424 to adopt individual utility funding operating.
2418, I think, Tom.
I'm sorry,
2418.
2418 to adopt an updated schedule of deposits.
I'll second it.
A motion has been made and seconded. Any discussion on the motion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
On opposition, say nay. Motion passes. Discussion and possible action on resolution 24-20, a resolution to place delinquent accounts, unpaid charges and fees on the tax roll for year 2024.
This is the annual resolution to transfer all of the outstanding miscellaneous receivables and utility bills onto the tax roll that are legally allowed to be placed on the tax roll. So this includes weed cutting, landscaping, any type of, delinquent charges. With some municipalities have parking stalls and whatnot, but the biggest one is the delinquent utilities. There are a total of $93,000 worth of delinquent utilities and charges that are slated to go into the tax roll this year, which is about roughly where we were last year. There wasn't any type of wild increase on that,
Why does this have to be done every year?
because the charges, basically, it's what the state statute says, that every year I have to send out a letter and by October 15th, and then they have the deadline of November 1st before the penalty, and then November 15th before it's written off to the tax roll, and I can't put something on the tax roll without the village board approving it.
I'll make a motion to approve resolution 2420.
I'll second that.
I heard Brad and Pat. A motion has been made and seconded. Any discussion on the motion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
On opposition, say nay. Motion passes. Discussion and possible action on resolution 24-23, a resolution to adopt the individual fund budgets in the amounts indicated for the calendar year 2025.
Yes, so this is the big item on today's agenda. After much deliberation and discussion, we are here to present the budget and get this passed. We came with a very, we had a good discussion a couple months ago regarding this, and we are good to go. The tax rate is going to be the lowest it's been since 2011 due to the revaluation of properties. Everyone else in the county is also very similar or down in their property tax levy for 2025. So that's very positive. If you have any, at this point, you can make any last minute changes you want to the budget, but we balance right now, so we are all good. If you have any other questions for me, I'm willing to hear them now.
Just ahead of the motion of what we decide, I'd like to thank your office, the police department, the fire department, the library, and the board, just to discuss the entire budget and come up with a balanced budget. So I do appreciate that.
No problem.
I'll make a motion to accept resolution 2423.
I'll second that.
Motion's been made and seconded. Any discussion on the motion?
One small item, so.
Oh, yes,
Yeah,
I
point
forgot
out,
to mention.
We have to say that because it's in the document or in the
Ye-
packet.
Yes, so I would like, if Ms. Tarks would like to amend her motion, there is a wording issue that Mr. Holdman pointed out, that at the very end of the resolution, the number typed out and then the number in the parentheses do not match. That is an error on my part when I was typing out the resolution. So if we could have the amount in the parentheses, the motion be to amend the resolution to have the amount in the parentheses be changed to the amount written out.
So the written is the right one.
Correct.
Okay.
Where do you find that?
It is,
Right before the first page of the budget.
Oh,
So you have to, amend your motion? Or does that,
I think she's looking for the,
I'm
Oh,
trying to
there's
find
section.
it.
it would be,
It's the last page of 24-23.
page 32 of the packet.
Yes, it should.
Okay.
Yeah, the amount in the parentheses should be $2,218,769.
2,000,000 to what?
$2,218,769.
Okay. So just make a accept resolution 2423 and then the amount,
Correct.
2,218,769. Excuse me.
Thank you.
So that goes as an amended motion?
Yes.
Okay. Is there a second on the amended motion?
I'll second it.
Motion has been made and seconded. Any additional discussion on the motion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
On opposition, say nay. Motion passes. Thank you. Discussion and possible action on resolution 24-24, a resolution to adopt the individual utility fund operating budgets for the calendar year 2024, but that should read 2025, shouldn't it?
Thank you. Yes. This should be for 2025. And what this utility fund operating budget states is that we're going for the water rate increase in the middle of 2025. We don't know what those rates are going to be yet, since the PSC has not started looking at any of the information. However, we do expect those numbers to come out in the middle of the year. It also reflects a very small increase in the storm sewer of, I think it's like 0.08%, and a very small increase in the local charge for the sanitary sewer. But I expect overall sewer rates to decline next year because MMSD's budget and charges for us are actually going down by about 40 to 45,000 total. So I expect the overall increase in the overall sanitary sewer charge to go down next year.
And when whoever gives the motion, if you could just clarify that it's for 2025, please.
I'll make a motion to approve the resolution 2424 for the utility fund operating budget for calendar year 2025.
I'll second it.
Motion has been made and seconded. Any discussion on the motion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
On opposition, say nay. Motion passes. Discussion and possible action on resolution 24-21, a resolution to increase sanitary sewer rates.
Yes, so as I was just mentioning, currently the sanitary sewer rate is 2.91 per 1,000 gallons of water consumed. We are looking to increase that by 8 cents to $2.99 per 1,000 gallons of water consumed. Again, I anticipate that because the sanitary sewer rate is combined with the MMSD rate. MMSD is lowering their charges for us next year by about 40 to 45,000. I haven't gotten the exact rate on that yet, but I do expect it to decrease also because we restructured how the capital charge is allocated as well for next year. So overall, I expect a decrease in the sanitary sewer rate as a whole, but the local charge, which is one piece of it, will increase to help fund the needed capital projects that we put into the budget, as well as just the everyday costs.
I'll make a motion to approve resolution 2421.
Second.
Motion has been made and seconded. Any discussion on the motion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
On opposition, say nay. Motion passes. Discussion and possible action on resolution 24-22, a resolution to increase storm sewer rates.
And this will increase the storm sewer rates from $31.21 per ERU to $31.49 per ERU. So it's roughly about 20, I believe it's like about 28 cents. For the average residential homeowner, it's going to be 28 cents. ERUs are based off of basically a residential equivalent. It's a equivalent runoff unit. I think that I got that right, maybe not for the acronym, but Basically, you take that and it amplifies for any business, commercial, industrial area, but for the residents of the village, it's just going to be going up by 28 cents.
I'll make a motion to approve resolution 24-2020 or 22.
I'll second that.
A motion has been made and seconded. Any discussion on the motion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All in opposition, say nay. Motion passes. Discussion and possible action on resolution 24-25. A resolution revising the village fee schedule as referenced by the Village of Butler Municipal Code.
So there's just a couple changes on here. We sought to clarify the baseball field rental charges. Before, they were a $250 flat rate. It did not give any type of monthly, weekly, daily type of usage. So we had people that wanted to rent it for 4 days, for 3 to 4 weeks, and we just charged them $250. This now, Aaron did a comprehensive look at a lot of the surrounding communities and saw what they charged. And I wanted to put it towards the lower end of that, so then we remain attractive and competitive. And if they're looking, they say, okay, the charges are the lowest here in the village, so that we want to come and use, and rent out their fields. So you'll see that on that fee schedule that we did amend it. There's 2 different charges. It'll be for $25 per hour for a 2-hour minimum. If you're going to be using it for 3 days in a week, it's going to be $150 per week. I believe that's how it is. And then there's also a change in the dog license fee. The county increased the fee by $2 due to a claim that was made by a resident of the county due to an unrelated thing, but they needed to increase their fees by $2 to recoup the money that was claimed in that amount. So we are then passing that on to the residents who have their dog license. And then we do have a new fee for the pavilion rental. We are looking at in the new year creating an ordinance where basically we've had a lot of issues with people having renting out the park pavilion and leaving it an absolute mess. After the holidays, weekends over, and the DPW has to spend 3-4 hours there in the morning on Monday morning cleaning up chicken wings, garbage, hot coals, gum. People have burnt the tops of the tables. So what we are looking to do is basically get a little bit of accountability in there, where people would pay us a fee to rent it out on the weekends and for holidays. So, during the week, and I'm going to try to, when I craft the ordinance, I'm going to try to say, if you're going to just have a family picnic where it's like, 5 people, you don't need to rent it out. I think that's a little bit overkill. But if you're going to be having it over like a certain number of people, I'd say maybe like over 8 or 10, you would need to, get a permit to have your event, just so then we know what's happening down there. When people are calling us saying that there's 100 people in the park and there's, the loud music playing and, whatever, we know we can have a point person, we can talk to them. There's a little bit of accountability when it comes to that. So that's the reason behind that fee.
Is there a deposit like we do with the community building?
I do not believe that we have a deposit, and the fee schedule just be a charge that, because it's difficult to the community building, you lock it up. With this, if they have an event on Sunday, they could leave and then a bunch of gallivanting kids come through and throw toilet paper everywhere. Well, how do we, unless we have somebody that's there right when that event ends to make sure that it's all cleaned up, you can't really put it back on them if it's going to, particularly even if it's overnight. Somebody could go there at night and light something on fire or whatever.
All right, with this, are you going to post the fee schedule at the park for the pavilion?
I have talked with President Kasdorf, and it would be, we would put, a sign there. Yes, we would have that. We would have that.
So there's no
advertised.
doubt about the fee schedule if somebody's using it.
Correct. And we were looking at having this starting probably in the spring, because obviously nobody's going to be down there.
All right.
Right now, removed all the picnic tables and whatnot.
All right.
And we would, initial thought too is to have a couple signs posted as well, saying permit only. And this also would help with, if we have two groups show up at the same time, then the one with the permit would be able to have it.
Yeah.
Because it has been getting very well used, or discovered. So it's
Right.
been a little bit chaotic down there.
No, it sure has. I guess my question around that, and I think it's a great idea, is how do we enforce it if they don't have a permit, right? Saturday
So-
afternoon at 2:00, 50 people show up.
What's the number that requires a permit?
Well, we have to figure that out, but enforcement will be done by the police. And the initial thought is the police could have the permit with them, for enforcement. And then I think we have to talk through the ordinance side of it is if you have a group of 5 people there, but somebody with a permit comes in, people with the permit would
Have
kick out the
priority.
other people. I mean, that's something we'd have to work on. It's been, this summer, I think there was, well, one guy would plug in his smoker and he would start at 6 in the morning and he would have 100 to 200 people down there easy.
Yep.
So and we had no idea who he is and they left it a mess more than once. So that's how this all
We had
started.
diaper containers and we had a tire
We had everything.
Oh, my.
left down there.
This is at least some sort of, we can try it. That's our.
Mhm.
And Aaron did do some research and most places do charge for pavilion rental. So I think this is still on the low side. It's just a little bit to help with us on Monday mornings.
I'll make a motion to pass resolution 2425.
I second that motion.
Mark and Eric. Motion has been made and seconded. Any discussion on the motion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
On opposition, say nay. Motion passes.
Don't you also have to pull a permit for alcohol for a park?
For what?
Do you have to pull a permit for alcohol for a park?
Only if you're going to be selling it, and then you have to be a 501c3.
But you don't have to.
If you're
pull a
bringing it to
permit
the,
That you're bringing it in for your picnic.
if you're just going to be, yeah, because at the park, I believe we have open carry down at the park.
But some communities do, don't they? You have to have.
Possibly, I have not looked at that.
We can talk about that at another time. At this time, the board may consider convening into closed session pursuant to section 19.851B, which Wisconsin statutes to consider the demotion, dismissal, licensing, discipline, or tenure of a public employee or a person licensed by a board or commission. Tonight's discussion would be bartender license revocation hearing.
I'll make a motion to go into closed session.
I'll second it.
Motion has been made and seconded to go into closed session. And for this, I will invite Ben to stay, Aaron to stay, police chief, and do you have anyone else that needs to stay?
Nobody nobody from the establishment or the license holder is here after 2 forms of notification.
Perfect. Okay, go ahead and call the roll.
Benjamin,
Yes.
Baylor,
Yes.
Holdman,
Here.
Kasdorf,
Yes.
Meyer,
Here.
Sardina,
Yes.
Tarks.
Yes.
Thank you.
Change my answer to a yes, please, instead of here.
Bye, Ricky.
Who's Ben?
Who's that?
I don't think so.
That's
no.
Rick,
That was,
the
no, 'cause
judge.
The lady that
Oh,
was here.
I don't know who the lady
the
was.
bartender,
Better you don't know.
she-
There was a lady here. I don't know who
I
that
could be
was.
surprised when I have to.
The dog thing, the other lady.
I don't
I
know.
thought she was the
Yeah,
licensee.
me too.
That's
what I
the
was
dog
thinking.
lady. Z, who was this
Thanks,
lady
Chief.
over here?
Okay.
Okay, okay.
I thought that was the.
Are we,
That's what I thought.
are we closed?
Yeah, we're closed.
No, that
Oh,
wasn't the bar.
Okay.
Turn off the. Yeah, this is what she looks